All right, today we got SORO right here. SORO, how's it going, man?
Yo, in the flesh. What's up, man?
I mean, not really in the flesh, right? In the audio, maybe.
Yeah, that's right.
In the audio. Yeah,
in
we
the
got it in the
virtual
audio.
reality.
So SORO is a content creator, fellow content creator on YouTube. He makes builds, currency guides, basically everything. And started like around about a year ago. Is that correct?
All the spicy stuff. Yep, that's right.
Yeah.
I think
Only the good stuff.
October, I guess, last 2024 of October, I guess, or September, I don't remember. Mostly was somewhere around the Trial of the Ancestors League, I guess. That's when I started my YouTube journey.
I remember somebody linked me your first video because I was looking over like updated EA builds and kind of like if there's new tech, and I saw your build in I think this was 3.21 or 3. Can't remember exactly. And the PoE looked really good, so I was like insta sub.
Yeah,
right?
Who could possibly be the person who came up with the build, right? It's definitely.
I mean, to be fair, crouching tuna, right? Crouching tuna. But yeah. So okay, I see you do a lot of stuff, and you kind of popped off recently as well. I've been kind of looking into that as well. Like your videos are doing really well. I really like your thumbnails as well. But maybe we talk about that later. So first up. Current league, shipping and league mechanic. That's like the biggest videos you've done this league.
Yep.
What are your thoughts currently about the current patch and like the league mechanic in general? Let's start with the league mechanic first.
Dude, the league mechanic, it's like you will never get an opportunity like this. Like when I look at the viewers and say this is like your best opportunity. Like you practically don't need a Uber build or anything. You just need to farm gold and just alt and go maps and click on ores and that's it. It's pretty much simple, and you come back and you do the shipping thing. You are literally guaranteed to get some tier 1 currency with the lowest shippings. If you go on a higher budget on a like bigger shipments, you can possibly even get power runes, which are like 10 to, I think they're at 8 or 10 divines now. And there are also mirror shards as well. You can get so much stuff out of shipping. It is like,
it's crazy.
Yes, it is underrated now. Like people literally
like, I don't think I've
sleeping on it.
ever seen a league mechanic where you just get mirror shards if you put enough in. That's how this league mechanic feels like currently.
It is too rewarding, to be honest.
I think, well, it depends. If you're a juicer, I think it's exactly right, or a little bit under rewarding maybe. But if you're somebody who's just playing for 2-3 hours a day to keep the gold up, and then you go offline, like the league mechanic is going to be 90% of your money, right?
Yep, that's right. It certainly is.
It's wild.
Like,
and it's kind of great because this league mechanic marks kind of like one of the first ones that doesn't reward you for being sweaty, but actually rewards quote-unquote dad gamers. And it's just like never before have you seen a mechanic where you can just get mirror shards. It's crazy. I've gotten 3 separate shipments with mirror shards right now, and I don't know. It just seems like there are certain breakpoints where you just get them.
Yep. It is, man. If you just open up Reddit, every day there's somebody posting some absurd 50 million shipment. Like, I'm not telling people to go gamble with 50 million shipments, but the point is that at the end of the day, you are going to get some tier 1 currency. It can be Exalted or it can be Divines. Like, that is a gamble, basically. You can either get, like, the one that you're looking for, which is Divines and Mirror Shards, basically. Or you can end up with a bunch of Sacred Orbs or an Exalted Orb. It could be a tier 1 stuff, but still not the kind of stuff that we as players want,
Yeah. An interesting thing that you also pointed out in your video, which I like, is you talk about resetting your reward tiles. You want to get those currency conversions plus, and if it's a shit shipment, you basically want to re-roll it.
Yep,
right?
That's right.
Which is a lot different than people who just go for Kalguur all the time and put in 50 million. It's definitely a lot less efficient, right? You're not going to get those 5 mirror shard shipments, but you're going to get over a time, you're probably going to get more rewards.
Yep, they do have a multiplier as well, even for the rewards. Now, there is the aspect of dust. Like, I'm going to get to that later, but the thing is that, like, if you, like fulfill the quota of what they're asking for, at the end of the quota, they're going to give you a unique item, which can be a trash item. But the point is that you get, like, the multiplier, which they give, the reward from that multiplier. So if you're gonna send shipments that are like unsolicited, something that they didn't ask for, you're probably gonna it's not be efficient. Basically, you're gonna get rewards.
Yeah,
it is still rewarding.
You should wait
That's
until
right.
you actually get a reward tile.
That's right.
100%. Yeah, 100%. So dust has been changed, and it's kind of like function has changed quite a bit, right?
Let me
We're
give you a
away from
TLDR.
those 8,000. Yeah, we're away from those 8,000 dust memes. What is like the purpose of dust right now?
Like, if you're gonna use dust, first of all, be prepared to disenchant your mage bloods at hunters and the rarest and fairest, because it is like way too much dust you need to put in. Like, if you're gonna put dust, you're gonna need so much. But also there is a point that you don't really have to stack up twice. It's basically like this. If you have a shipment value of say like 25 million, you can literally get it to a 50 million if you add the same amount of dust of worth 25 million. So it basically doubles it. But it is still 25 million dust, which is not easy to make.
The thing is, dust is not free,
No,
right? You might
absolutely
think it's
not.
free because, maybe you think it's free, but once you run out, you realize, if I want 1 million dust, that's a tier 0 unique, which is, I think, like a divine right now or something.
Yep.
So you're putting in like 25 divines, like, okay, and you get back like 2 power runes and 12 divines. It's like, you're not even break even.
It's a relative thing. Yeah, that's right.
Wild. Yeah. So that's why I also like your strat with the smaller shipments. In general, what do you think is like the thing most people do wrong? So you talked about the reward tiles. Is that the one that people pay the least attention to?
Yeah, actually, a lot of people took my video out of context. If you even now look at the video which I spoke about 3.25.1 update, a lot of people, like half of the comment, it blew up. Like half of the comments are actually taken out of context because it is taken in the context that that video was basically made as a continuation from my Alkan Ghost strat, which is basically more than enough to sustain your ores, and you can literally like reroll your shipments. You got plenty of it, because you're just getting into maps, clicking on the ore, and then coming back. So at the end of the day, you get like tons of gold and tons of ores, and you're not putting any scarabs into it. You're literally not putting any investment into it. So it is just like an easy investment. So the thing that people had a problem about was that GGG literally has these kind of absurd numbers, like impossible. Like they have these ores like Oricarium something ore, which is like 125,000 something.
Something like that. Yeah. Something like that.
That is, when you look at the numbers, they're so absurd. But you think about it, like when you send the bars instead of sending the ores, they're like 5 times the value. So when you send the bars, it's not actually like 125,000 that you're sending. It could be like, I'm really bad at math. It is like 5 times, which is probably like, I don't know, 25, 30,000 something. It is actually not 125,000,
Yeah. So in general, I mean, I think we're basically agreeing that this league is quite
awesome, man.
Interesting in terms of returns. Awesome. Yeah.
Really.
For a lot of players who especially don't play 16 hours a day.
That's true.
Now, another thing that I think is awesome this league is actually build diversity. You're also like doing a lot of builds. How do you feel about the changes they made to melee, but like how it affected the overall build diversity?
Okay, I'm going to share something really funny about this. When I started the league, I started as a bleed gladiator, okay? I reached Act 10, and then I open up YouTube, and I see Captain Lance. He posts a video crushing essences, some 5 essence monster in some T16 map or something with a berserker. And I'm like, okay, you show me Ubers, I don't care. You show me 5 stacked essences and a dormant. If you can one-shot that, that's the build. I'm playing that one.
Yep.
So I literally like renamed my build as Lance. Lance reroll me, and I made a build guide on that one too. It's a great build. Basically, the melee is actually way more better than it ever was. To be honest, like the build diversity is like so much. You could like there's so many builds. Another thing that I want to share in this, part of the reason is because MF is gone. And I want to thank you for that because I saw your interview.
Oh no.
Yeah, you actually spoke with the Jonathan, I guess. I
got so much hate for that interview. I got so much pushback for that interview.
But from the community side, there's so much like positive thing. Because of that, you know what the issue was with Magic? Don't take me wrong. I loved Affliction League. It was like one of the best leagues for me. But the problem is every build literally has to use Gold Rim, Venters, and everything that needs quantity, right? If everything has to be quant, then give us back the old legacy quant back from the rare items. But they can't do that. So this is the only thing they can do. They literally had to give up quantity completely.
I think so as well, because even if they made it rares, it's just the same but different. Now you need to do rares, right? Like it's the same kind of restrictions.
That's right.
It doesn't really change anything. So like it's just about, I don't know, character freedom. But I totally understand it from the other side as well. For people who don't care, let's be honest, most players in this game don't really care about a build that much on a deep level. They want a build that functions, and then they want to farm currency with it, which is totally understandable, right?
Yep, that's right.
The important part for me was that if they remove Quant, they can't just take away loot.
Yep.
It has to be reintroduced with difficulty, and I think that's what they've done with tier 17 anyways.
Yep,
so
that's right.
I think it was a great timing to remove it, and I don't think we're gonna miss it in a few leagues. Like it's funny because if you look at it, nobody really complained.
Yep, that's right.
I didn't see anybody, and everybody was running Quant. So I mean, yeah, we'll have to see, but overall I agree, it was pretty damn nice.
But yeah, it was a good change.
Build diversity in general, I think, went through the roof in general. I'm actually a little bit vindicated because I used to say, I remember when Chris said in his interviews that fixing melee is not just as easy as fixing numbers. I was like, bro, no. Like melee needs damage. That's what it needs. Everybody was always like harping about fortify and whatnot.
Yeah, defenses,
they have enough tools. They need... Also, if you give them damage, now they have more freedom to build defenses because it takes away pressure from their passive tree, right?
Yep.
So it's kind of the same thing. Adding damage, adding defense is kind of the same thing. And they straight up just doubled it. And that is what the archetype needed. It's crazy to think, but they doubled a lot of numbers. And now it's like balanced. That's how crazy unbalanced it was, right?
It was
insane.
Too much. Yeah. I think Necropolis League literally showed the worst of, MF and everything that was wrong about the current state of PoE, Don't get me wrong, like we still have a lot of issues to fix. Like there's like a lot of we got a lot of things to fix even till this day. But at least it's a step in the right direction, basically.
For sure. I think that we were kind of numbed a little bit to the problems because the leagues were always so good. And then once Necropolis came out, we had a bad league and the problems were there. And so the problems were kind of amplified, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
We noticed it more.
It was just amplified, like 100%. Yeah.
So when it comes to builds, what are like, I saw you actually play Explosive Arrow. What's like your thing there? Was this like one of your first, was your first uploaded build, right? Like what made you want to upload a video about EA Ballista?
Okay, I'm going to talk about EA Ballista. First thing is first, like if you're running a PC that is like a potato, like super slow and a disgusting PC which can't even load screens, you should definitely play like a EA build or a totem build. The reason is because like when I was playing PoE, I think I started at Harvest League, I guess, and part of the reason why I got into PoE was because of SORO, and that's how I got my name SORO, because the guy was the reason why I'm still playing PoE. I'm supposed to quit at Act 3. I was supposed I couldn't even complete it. And somebody said, check out build guides. What are build guides? And then someday I found your video on YouTube, I guess, or somewhere. I don't watch Twitch, so I see YouTube videos and I found yours. And the best part about the thing was that totem builds, basically you don't have to like aim anything. So even if your computer lags, it is literally playable. And back in those days, my computer was like it was a laptop. It was just an Acer Nitro gaming laptop. It is not the PC that I'm using right now when I started SORO, but this is the build that new players should definitely like through, because if you have a skill issue especially, it is a stepping stone to start. And it's a great build in Explosive Arrow, and there is a lot of totem builds out there. Totem builds are really good for slow PC computers and new players.
That's a good point. I never actually thought about that. What I was going to say is actually, I'm not sure if I want to keep the build for now, because like after the armor, like the D-term changes and the Fizz taken ass changes, I'm a little bit worried about the Elementalist version. Obviously the champion version got dunked on even more, but like also totem survivability got completely changed, right? Like with the bottom of the passive tree getting butchered, like the totem life and whatnot. So I'm a little bit worried. I think Toxic Rain is going to be fine. Toxic Rain Ballista, because it's Pathfinder probably not going to die, especially if you have a Progenesis. But the EA Ballista, I'm a little bit unsure. Maybe I'll have to do some testing. Maybe there's a new, maybe Warden or something hit based. I don't know yet. We'll see.
Actually, it is possible. Warden could be the new meta. Could be. But Elementalist is just pure damage. Like that's what I like. Softcore players, you should definitely like. The thing I don't like about Champion is good for hardcore players like defense. It used to be, sure. At least it used to be. I don't know what's the best defense is. Probably I can't play Juggernaut. Elementalist. So if you're playing softcore, Elementalist is just pure damage. And if you go to the Ranger side of the tree, it is speed, movement speed. Movement speed is also defense, basically. Like, you can't see that in POB numbers, but, like, if you move fast, if you're, like, traversing and through enemies, it is a massive defense, basically. A lot of things that POB numbers can't show. There's a lot of options, basically. So much of options we got.
The issue is just with Elementalist, right? Like, you need to make up for that defense somehow, and now that they took away... took away so many tools, and D-Term is just kind of shit. Like, I was looking at my old POB, gets to like 25k armor, right? Which is like okay, but your Molten Shell falls off pretty hard. You don't have Taste of Hate anymore. It's just kind of sketchy, especially with like tier 17s doing so much damage. Your ballistas are just gonna get eaten alive, right? Like there's one dot, your ballistas are gone. So I'll have to rethink the whole archetype. Maybe I'll make a video about it. We'll see. Either way. In terms of endgame builds, what is like your favorite archetype?
Okay, endgame builds, there's so much of them. But one thing that I used to play all the time, it was Ward Loops. Ward Loop builds, basically, it's one of the most complicated builds in PoE. It is like you have to find the right spot, the right numbers, and make it trigger. There are a lot of things that could go wrong. It is one of the most complicated builds in PoE, Ward Loop builds. And the thing I loved about Ward Loop builds is that I used to run TFT act carry services. It was like money-making machine. But the problem is, it is so boring, man. It is literally boring. You have to spend 2 hours, entire 2 hours leveling like a party of 3 players or something, and you have to coordinate with them. It is literally boring thing, and it's not something that you would have fun with. But you make currency, and the build is fun. The ward loops are basically, and don't take me, ward is absolutely broken this league. You can, it is underrated. If you are able to stack enough ward, you literally don't take any damage from small hits, basically. You can literally walk around
the hardest thing for me has been to figure out dots, because as a ward build, you're very much...
That's true.
It's completely different. So on my current build, which I'm going to put out a video, I think at the point where I release this, I already have the video out. But so like dots are a big deal, and you have to mitigate them because they are already one of the scariest things in the game. And then you stack all of this thing. It's kind of like stacking evasion, right? And then getting absolutely destroyed in tier 17 by dots while looting and whatnot. It's the same thing here, right? Like, I don't know. I think ward is incredibly underrated. I don't know what it is about ward. Let's say you have like, I don't know, even like 5,000 ward. There's some misunderstanding for people that don't understand that just you don't take any damage at all. It's not like, oh, you take damage and then you have to recover. It's just like the damage does not exist.
Literally.
Right? It's really hard to imagine because when we get those kind of effects, like for example, what's the new ward ascendancy called again? The bramble thingy with like minus 150 flat. If you go through campaign or white maps or yellow maps with that, just minus 150 physical damage taken. You're like, you feel like you're immune to most things, right? Red maps falls off like a brick. All those minus damage mods are just like bad for endgame. But then you enter ward and you see numbers like 5,000 and you're like, what the hell is going on, right? So if you can make the Oroffs work and it's always up, or you have a ton of evasion, I mean, it's just broken now. It's just broken.
It is. Like, there's a lot of build diversity right now. You can literally, I have no idea what your build is, but you got something cooking up, seriously.
Yep. This was a little bit of a weird one to put together. Beacon of Madness stuff, but yeah. Either way, so when it comes to content creation, right? So I said earlier, you're a little bit of an all-rounder, as I've seen. Are you trying to kind of find, as a creator, are you kind of trying to find your place, or do you enjoy everything equally, or what's like the thing that keeps you going? What do you like to do the most?
Yep, that's the thing. The thing about YouTube is that the platform basically favors what the audience wants. That's basically what
Sure.
the platform is. So if you're starting a new channel and if you make something that you're passionate about, it may not work, and most probably it's not going to work because the algorithm is always going to favor for the audience. So I always have to play what the audience wants. I have to force myself to understand. But luckily enough, shipping was quite, in other words, what do you find spicy? What do you find that is trending? And shipping was also something that is trending and something that I was really interested in because I'm a huge fan of Anno 1404. And the league mechanic is literally Anno 1404. If you've played it, like it is basically an RTS kind of game.
Basically, yeah. No, like I guess like sure, chasing trends is one of the things you kind of have to do as a YouTuber.
Yep.
But like in terms of enjoyment, like I'm sure you sometimes make videos where you're like, I just want to put this out there.
The latest,
like
latest,
build guides, for example.
Oh man, build guides. Yeah, I want to talk about build guides. Yep. As a YouTuber, like the biggest problem that we have as YouTubers now making build guides is retention. It is the biggest problem because if you make any other video, if you talk about anything, you get people to watch your video. If your videos don't get views unless people watch it, if the algorithm sees that people are not even watching like 50% of it, they're literally now not even going to go through the browse features. So you have to make it either so engaging, and the problem with build guides is they're boring. Obviously they're boring, but you have to understand there is some aspect of playthrough that like what I don't understand is like why would people literally click on POBs just to it was never like this before because people used to click on the POV and they used to also watch the video. But what is this? The problem right now is that people literally click and they literally go to the next video.
My most favorite videos are also where I talk about build guides. So I can maybe answer that a little bit. I think what happened over the last few leagues is people got way more invested with currency because with the game getting harder, people just need more currency. Like budgets builds basically don't exist. Currency equals fun equals power. The times where you could just do the best like of like boss rushing, and that's like 15 divs an hour are kind of over, right? They kind of still exist with like yellow map, essence and whatnot, but pushing your builds further actually gives you a ton of upside. So I think people are just way more interested in currency strat nowadays and less interested in builds. It always feels like to me, people make one build and they just stick with it. Whereas before there was more exploration, but that might just be me. But I've also seen build guides fall off quite a bit. It's just, for me, it's like, I don't like doing stuff that I don't enjoy. And like, I'm going to make a currency video if I have something to say, but currency videos are even more annoying because people are just bitching about you destroying the economy all the time. It's just annoying for me. Like build guides is just kind of like, oh, thank you for the build. I enjoy it. And those videos are just like, I can't believe you just destroyed my strat that only I did, and all my scarabs increased by 0.2 chaos. It's like, I can't, dude. I just can't. So currency videos I'll make if I have something interesting to say, but they're just exhausting to make because nobody really, like the comments are just
I totally get that, man. I totally relate that.
Yeah.
It is actually happening to everyone. Basically, it is actually a cultural kind of issue in PoE. The thing is that
for sure
we have so much endgame right now. And when a new player comes to PoE, their expectation is like Ubers. Like somebody came up in my comments and they looked at my explosive arrow and they said, "Can this do Ubers?" Well, I mean, seriously, like you're new to the game, right? Like you need to like start with the white maps, then yellow maps, slowly progress through. The problem is that most new players who come to PoE, they first look for Uber damage. But the problem is, let me put it this way: they want a giga trillion damage. They want an infinite EHP build. The only problem is they have a one divine budget.
Yes. And budget builds do not exist. It's like, those videos where it's like 10 divine challenge, 1 divine challenge. It's like, that doesn't mean anything.
No,
because once you put the video out, you can't replicate it. So it doesn't matter. To be fair, the farming strat is also creators' fault a lot, where people just give others unrealistic expectations. It's like,
false advertising.
Yeah, it's like 20 div an hour or 30 div an hour in the title, and it's like, that's cute and all, but that isn't what the person who's going to farm it is going to get. And I think that's like the most important thing about that discussion.
Yeah.
But when it comes to build guide, the other thing is I would love people to not play my build as their first build, because most people, and I will say this number with conviction, 90% of people screw up their first build.
Yeah,
it doesn't matter what it is.
Especially league
And
starters.
I literally have people who are like, oh, I couldn't play his, I don't know, Hex Blast. It was my first build. It was awful. And now I have 4 leagues in, and now I'm playing this build, and now I'm doing so well. I'm like, I don't think, like, Hex Blast is meta forever. I don't think that's, it might be a you issue, right? So it's like, I'm trying to get less handholdy, but it's hard for me because I'm just yapping all the time, right? But yeah, I'm trying to not make people want my builds as their first build, right?
Every build has got its positives and negatives. The problem is that everybody has this expectation that if you play a build, it has to have everything on a 10 divine budget.
All-rounder.
All-rounder.
The all-rounder problem.
It doesn't make... I mean, you have no issue if you're spending mirrors into the build. There's no problem. It is possible.
Yeah.
You can easily make a build like that. But the only problem is when you say you have a budget of 10 divines, like, how are we supposed to make a build like that? Seriously? Like, even if we do...
It's like, you think about it and you look at people like Dan, for example, on hardcore, who have like who've items that I dream of on softcore, right? And on hardcore. And he makes certain things work, but then you want to do the same thing on 10 divines. Like, who do you think is going to make those builds, if not the best build makers? There's a reason why they invested this much into the build, right? That's the issue. There's no magical solution to making a 10 div build better than every Mira tier build or something, right?
Yeah.
Which is honestly also, I mean, some content creators are obviously over-promising, but I think it's definitely a cultural thing as well.
It is a cultural thing, man. It is quite a change, because like it wasn't like this 2 years ago. Like, we had meme builds, funny builds, and all that kind of stuff. Different kind of... The thing is...
Meme builds?
Yeah. Like Dorian is like one tapper and all that. That I used to like that. Where you walk up to the boss and... But those were basically done on Conquerors and those map bosses. It was not on Ubers. And even if there was something that was overpowered on Ubers, GGG would immediately nerf it. Like, immediately nerf. They were like very fast.
Worm Blaster, remember? I don't know if that was before your time. Yeah.
Like, that is a problem. Even if there is a build like that, it won't last long. You know, that's the problem. It won't even last a league.
I definitely want to go back to like more meme builds and make less good builds, kind of. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like making builds where you look at the POB and you're like, oh, this is going to be a banger. It's like, okay. I actually did that on my last build. I was going to level a cast on crit build, KB, an Archmage setup. And I was like, this is going to work out perfectly fine. And then I pivoted to my new build and I'm super happy. It's freaky. I learned so much about like the game in general. I didn't even know that those boots worked and whatnot. So maybe like just take a little bit of a hit in views and just like have fun exploring again, right? Find your groove again. But yeah,
another thing
it's weird because like, everything you do. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, no, I was just saying, like, a lot of people will just fall for the damage numbers. Like, the first question that somebody came to ask me, what is most powerful build? I asked, what is your favorite build? What do you like to play? Like, the biggest thing is that you can play the most powerful build and you can like literally like get bored of it and stop the league in less than a week.
100%.
That is another issue that it's a practical thing. Like, I think we need to think straight practically. Like, what is gonna happen if I play this build? Is the skill something that I had fun with in the last league or something, you know?
But that's another cultural issue of people just wanting builds as their currency vehicles, right? Their machines, their currency machines, and not understanding the build, just like being a user. It's like buying like an expensive car and you don't even know how the motor works, right? It's like that's basically what it is. And the
flickers.
And there's problems with that.
Yeah.
There's problems if you want to... Like, you're not going to rebuild that vehicle, right, correctly. You're not... It's like having to build that car from scratch without knowing how it works. It's like, good luck. It's not gonna work, even if you follow a guide. Imagine trying to build a car with instructions, but you don't know how a car works. It's like, yeah, okay. At least I have the instruction or something, but yeah. Either way, though, I definitely agree with it being a cultural thing. I would like to get back some of the meme builds. Maybe I can pull it off. But
maybe PoE 2 is going to be the answer.
PoE 2, yeah. Oh god, let's not open that can of worms. I really hope it's gonna be good. I'm actually
the salvation.
I'm actually pretty hyped. We're gonna see.
Yeah, me too.
All right, man. But in general, thank you for coming today. It was a fun talk.
Awesome, man. It was really cool.
Really happy that you've been popping off so hard. Hope everything goes well from here on out. And are you going to go full-time, or do you have any plans, or are you just going to go for now a little bit slow and then see what happens? Or
I'll be spending more time with this league, and in general with my channel, it is just PoE content, and I only intend to make PoE videos because YouTube is basically like that. You can't post anything out of the subject of your subscribers. The people who, when you post a video and if your subscribers don't watch it, then YouTube doesn't show it to the next audience. So you have to literally understand what do they want. So I can't make Fortnite videos in this channel. So PoE will always be my favorite stuff, and it has to be my favorite. Like my job as well.
We're gonna do it. Once you're bigger, you're gonna start making some Fortnite videos.
Yeah,
and we're gonna see again.
That'll be a different thing. If you are a public figure like Asmongold, that definitely you can do that.
You can do whatever. You can do whatever.
Whoever, yeah.
Awesome.
Awesome.
But either way, thank you for coming. Had a fun time. Yeah.
Cool, man.
Keep pushing.
Awesome.
And have a good one, man. See ya.
Take care.